Hey heroes, welcome in. We are your hosts for hire. I'm Kyle Cage. This is Lucas Rand. We are here to talk about Invincible season 3. So we just finished Invincible. We've been clamoring at the bits for the new episodes. It finally came out today. We talked everything that we loved about it. We talked everything that we hate about it, what we hope to see going forward, what we missed out on in this season that we wished was in it. Everything that
Make
we
sure
have.
you stay and watch through the episode so you can see all of my gripes that I had that I put out with it, because there's a lot, and we want to know your opinions on it.
Yes, I want to know. I want you guys to come in here and tell him he's wrong. So please come in here and blast Lucas about how wrong
Yeah,
he is
it's really
about so
interesting
many
because
aspects of this show.
I have a very interesting perspective on this, of which I don't know the comics at all. I'm just going based on just watching the series, no other information. So get at me, tell me what I'm thinking wrong, tell me what I should be thinking, tell me what I'm missing, and let's have some fun.
Yep, let's do it. Let's get into it. All right. So, with season 3 of Invincible finally done, we can
Ooh,
talk
ooh,
about it.
ooh.
There's a lot to talk about. Right off the bat, I hate to put it this way, but comparatively, it was a little disappointing compared to seasons 1 and 2.
I had that on my notes too. In my opinion, the worst out of the 3 seasons. It's hard to say that because a lot culminated in the season, but the first season was so interesting, even though there was less in it, because it was new. Second season to me was just the best season so far.
Mhm.
Um, it just was like what really kind of like got me into the meat and potatoes of the show and like asking you about like the comics and stuff. And then this one, like, it's been good, bro, but this show has just been annoying the piss out of me, dude. More specifically, Mark. I'm just like, as each episode has progressed, I'm starting to hate this character, dude. And I don't think we're supposed to feel that way, or I don't
No,
know.
I don't think so either.
Like, he's supposed to be so sympathetic, and he is in a lot of moments, but it's just like, man, there's so many things about Mark that I'm like, bruh, you might be the worst superhero in
So,
all of like superherodom, dude. Like, you might be a
so yeah.
worse hero than Homelander. Like,
Well, see, the difference is Homelander actively doesn't care about really being a
oh,
hero, whereas Mark's an 18-year-old kid.
it's
You know
fair.
that's something that I try to take into account, that like he makes dumb decisions because he's a dumb 18-year-old
I
old
guess
kid.
we just get to see the perspective, like in Marvel and in DC, like the young kids, like the Titans, like Spider Man. He's 16. Like there's extremely young kids, and they just don't make these like dumb kid mistakes. Like
That's
once like they become
I
the
would
hero, like they
I would
almost like
argue I would argue that's
separate.
because they're not. I would
You
argue
know,
because those characters weren't written realistically when it comes to
that's fair.
how a child would react to certain things. Like,
Yeah, there's just like
granted, there are a couple things the moment where in the I think second to last episode when Adam Eve's all hurt and Cecil's like, we need your help, Mark, and then like he even points out like, have fun explaining to Eve that you didn't help because so you could sit here and watch her
yeah.
recover.
Again, like
Right?
I
And he's like,
hate
I don't
that man.
fucking care.
I'm like,
Like that
bro.
should have cut through. Like in my mind, that should have cut through. He
Like,
should have been like, "You're
especially
right."
when it comes to Cecil, because there's a scene with Eve and Oliver where Mark is telling something to Oliver objectively true and right, and Oliver's like, "Man, fuck you," and he's like, "God, like no, he won't listen to me no matter what I say. Like, why
He's like,
won't he listen to me?
no one wants to
No
listen to
matter
their older brother.
what Cecil says to Mark, he doesn't listen, bro.
Because
Like,
no one likes
he's
to be told what to do by
just
their older brother.
as stubborn, dude. I'm just like, bruh.
I didn't even think about that. That is a good way for them to show an allegory of the way that Mark sees Cecil as like an older brother, as big brother. Like
Yeah,
being
yeah.
in government, being big
Yes,
brother, and
bro. It's just like, bro, how don't
very
you how can't
similar.
you see it? Like, you are pissing me off, Mark.
I think that's also part of it too. Is like that. I don't know. To me, that's good writing because like
Yeah,
to get you to feel that emotion that's
yeah.
purposely put there.
Like I said,
It's good writing, but it is frustrating.
there's a moment where he's fighting Powerplex, which, by the way, Powerplex as a character, he was my favorite moment of season 3, because we in our episode we talked about, I think, like the first 4 episodes of Invincible.
Or first two or
Yeah.
something.
I was talking to you about, like, damn, dude, the other Drew foot has to drop on Mark. He's making all of these mistakes. He is objectively becoming the villain of the story. Like,
Mhm.
it's the path he's on. Like, I actually wrote down in my notes at one point, if this show isn't a show about Mark or Oliver becoming the villain, then I just don't necessarily understand the path we're on.
Yeah.
Like, that's the path we're on. Like,
So I will say the overarching
like at the
arc
end
of
of this season, like if you don't know the comics, like Mark just said, if anyone ever threatens my family again, ever, I'm going to kill them. Mark
Yeah.
is becoming the villain. Like that.
Yeah.
This is what the
So
story is. If
yeah,
it
so
doesn't end that way, I just don't know what happened. I'm just
one of
confused about the arc.
one of the overarching themes of the comics was simply how easy it would be for a superhero to become a supervillain. Like how thin that line is and how hard it is to dance around that line. And
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job of it, but they are kind of pushing it a little. Like it's causing the pacing of the story to become a little confused because they're blowing up 3-issue story arcs to 2 episodes, and they're
Yeah.
shrinking 8 to 10, like the Invincible War. That like at the end of this with the Invincibles all coming in, that's an arc in the comics that's 9 issues long
See,
of
that to me felt
144 issues.
okay. I wanted to ask you about that. That was one thing I wanted to really ask you about because I had in my notes here that that's twice that they made Angstrom Levy come in grand, threat, and then
He is
so
one that
anticlimactic. Is he
he is
written that way in the comics where he's just so anticlimactic, dude?
It doesn't feel that way because of the fact that you read about his plans coming to fruition for up to 10 issues of 140 issues.
It's
So
kind of
you're looking
crazy
at
to me,
a
bro.
significant percentage of it to be like in
I
the
was
comics.
disappointed
Angstrom Levy,
twice
like
in the Angstrom Levy
yeah,
arcs.
it's his first villain and kind of his main villain. Like it's not the main villain of the story. That's the Viltrumites. Like overall, they're
Well, they're
usually
not doing a great job in this show of making Angstrom Levy his main villain, bro. I gotta say, without knowing
well,
the comics and just like
his
watching the
recurring, yeah,
show,
exactly. In the
not good.
comics, they're
Not good.
he's his recurring villain, and he comes in more often,
That
and
I
he
can
has more
see
impact.
of him being recurring. It seems like
Like,
he's getting stronger each time, blah blah blah. But
yeah,
boy, are they doing a bad job at like again, just twice. Huge
came
build
in
up,
and
horrible like not bad execution, just quick.
yeah. Like
Just
I said, that's exactly the point I was getting at. Is that it felt quick because, like I said, in the comics, it was a fucking 8 issues build up to
yeah.
this,
But
and a
even to me,
five
to
issue
someone who doesn't
aftermath
know
with
that,
9
it
issues
felt
in the
quick.
middle.
Because like it
Yeah,
was the whole episode 7, and then it basically starts and ends midway before and through episode 7 and before the end of episode 7. It just like starts and concludes in one episode. Like
yeah,
but
that's
not
yeah.
even a full episode.
Yeah,
Like
it was weird to me because like I said, like they them doing the days that the Invincible guys were there, like in the comics, obviously they weren't able to just they weren't that much weaker than Mark. In the show,
right.
they made the other Invincible clone or the variants
Pretty much weaker than
extremely
Mark.
weak.
But even
Yeah,
then,
all of them.
like they like Mark kills one, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Like Cecil kills like 4.
Yeah,
Like the other
with
heroes
the
are like doing shit
Reaniman.
to like it's almost like Mark doesn't like I don't know, man. Like he's like the strongest hero on earth, but like also like it seems like the other heroes are better than him because he's just so bad at being a hero
He's
that
so
like he's
inexperienced,
just
especially
like that
compared to
dude, like especially like
yeah,
like we get the don't no killing thing, but then like you're being invaded by aliens. Every other hero gets it. Even Adam Eve, when she comes to the
yeah,
fight, she gets it. No hesitation. No this, no that. Mark
yeah,
just getting fucking whomped until he's about dead. And then it's kind of like plot armor takes over because he's the main
yeah,
character and like he's not gonna lose, and then he just wins in the end because that's how comics work. Like
yeah.
I'm starting to not like that so much, man. Like,
Yeah.
like
See, and
there's
one of
so many
that was
characters with so much palpable shit. And it seems like to me that all of these fights and all of these like arcs all just culminate to Mark and someone who's stronger than Mark punching at each other until Mark wins through plot armor, until Mark Batman victories, essentially.
yeah. So in
You know what I mean?
in this
Like
one
that's just
they made it where Adam Eve,
which
transformed
by the way,
and
that
then
was sick as
asked
fuck.
him. Yeah,
when
and
she's like
classic.
given like Conquest the business at like
Mhm.
at the end in season 8 there. That's what I want out of some Green Lantern, bro. That
Yes,
was like that
yes.
like consistent, like nonstop. Like didn't give him a second to even like stop moving. Like it was just
Yeah,
one after the other, like construct. That was sick.
yep,
Like that's what
yeah,
I want to see out of like an intense Green Lantern like fight.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Like where he's quickly making
just
constructs and using them.
consistently.
Like,
Like yeah, like not even like I said, she wasn't giving Conquest time to even like stop flying through the air before she was
mhm,
hitting him with like more shit. That was dope.
yeah.
Like she had that, like she did, so, like she was cooler than Mark. I was just like, bruh.
See, that is one of the realities of this, the comics, the shows, is that Mark is just a really basic superhero. He's really, really powerful, but he doesn't have cool powers like almost every other
Well,
hero
it's
in
just
this
like,
universe.
yeah, I guess.
Even like Rex Splode.
I guess like we just like
Speaking of
get to
which,
see Nolan like use his powers in really creative ways because he's been a Viltrumite for so long. You
yeah,
know,
he's
because like we
thousands of
just don't
years
get to
old.
see
Yeah,
Mark like I don't know. He just like doesn't. He doesn't like. He's like one of the least impressive characters in the show, and like I
yeah.
don't want to feel that way as the viewer because he's the main character. But it's like
Yeah,
weird. Like like he's almost the least likable character,
or
at
at
least in
least
this TV show.
he's the least powerful,
But like I just mean like
and he
likable.
makes
Like I hate like his decision making, the way that he, like I
yeah.
said, like he's becoming the villain. Like the way that he's
See,
like
like
treats
he's not,
Cecil, goes up
but
and like
like
infiltrates the
yeah.
Pentagon. Doesn't get like like Powerplex. Like I was saying right at the beginning, everything Powerplex mentions is right. Like everything that makes Powerplex freak the fuck out and turn into a villain, he's objectively right.
Well, he's not
Well,
objectively right about everything because what he's doing is he's putting the blame for Omni Man's decisions onto the
that's what I was just
Invincible.
about to say. Was Invincible a victim that day? Yeah, but like so was everyone else. And then like Mark
Yeah.
has been making all these public horrible mistakes, back to back to back, that everyone knows about him specifically because he works at the Pentagon. He knows that Mark has been crashing through the fucking ceiling,
Mhm.
threatening the like leader of the global
Defense
defense
agency.
agency multiple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just know this. Like he's objectively right. Like yeah, Mark was a victim, but
Yeah.
Mark is becoming a totalitarian ruler of Earth. Like
Yeah.
like I said, at the end of season 3, the path he's still walking it. They haven't stepped
Mhm.
back from that yet. Like the other shoe
Mhm.
hasn't dropped on Mark, and he hasn't become more heroic because he's realized the folly of his ways yet. He's still going down the path of totalitarian leader Mark that all those other Marks eventually get to.
Yeah.
He's one
Well,
of
see,
them. Like
I would,
he's one of
I would,
them, just not yet. You know, they came
I
in
would
at
argue that
18.
I
Like
would argue the difference between them is that they embraced the Viltrumite way of rule of law,
sooner. He's just going to
whereas
do it later.
no, like whereas Mark just kind of wants to do things his own way, but he doesn't want
He doesn't see
to.
that that's the Viltrumite rule of law.
But he doesn't want to.
Like
He
that's
doesn't
what
want to
he's
lead.
doing. You know?
Like for instance, at the end of season 3, Cecil is saying, "I want you to lead the Guardians of the Globe," and he's like, "No, I can't do that. I'm at least like they're showing that he's self-aware of it. That he's like, that's a bad idea because I have my own shit I'm dealing with, and I
Yes.
clearly make poor decisions as a leader. So like he refuses to be the leader of the Guardians of the Globe. That's what I was saying. If he was walking down that path, he would want more power.
Well,
Whereas
that's
it
what I'm saying.
seems like
He's not
this
there
Mark
yet. He's
doesn't.
just walking down the path. Like all those other totalitarian marks just got to where he's gonna get sooner. He's gonna get there. If he's not doing Viltrumite rule, he's just doing Mark rule. Like
Yeah,
eventually the people in his life are gonna die. And he's gonna rule over Earth if he keeps walking down this path. Like there's no way around it.
yeah. There's
It's
no one to
like
hold him accountable.
you know what I mean? Like
Um,
if you don't know
yeah,
the comics and you don't know what's coming, which I kind of do through you,
yeah.
that
But at
like,
the same
if
time,
I
is
didn't, I would think that this is a show about Mark becoming the villain and either Oliver having to stop him or the other heroes that love Mark having to come together and kill him or stop him. That's what I
yeah,
would
and like
think is happening. It's like
which which is actually in my mind a great way that they're writing a story again about one of the main through lines being how thin that line is and how easily a hero could become a
I
villain.
guess I'm just
That
waiting for him to
even
come
the
back over the line. Like so
yeah,
far,
exactly.
like they
Yeah.
haven't done any like showing of his like
That's another point I want to get at. They haven't shown it because we've gotten less than half the story.
Yeah.
We are in season 3. At the end of season 3, we are just under halfway. I think the end of season 3 was around issue like 70.
I think they try to show so much of his humanity so that we can feel that he's a good person. Like I feel that Mark's a good person.
But he makes bad decisions just like a person.
But he makes bad decisions to the point because of how powerful he is, like Cecil's saying.
The implications
doesn't realize the implications of how he's going to turn into that's the path.
Yeah.
That just like Nolan was saying, everyone's gonna die, Mark. Like everyone. This planet's gonna turn to dust before you're even like my age. Eventually that shit's gonna break the person that Mark is because he's so emotional. That's one of the points is Mark can't win a fight until Oliver or Eve get in trouble so that his emotions can kick in and he can like win the fight. That's kind of like the path. But that's bad because you're emotional, Mark, and people are gonna die, and then you're gonna kill everything. It's just really weird.
That's what it seems like the arc of the show is going for. It's more focused on that than like the comics were more focused on showing like little story arcs. Like there were several like villain story arcs for the first 70 issues that they completely. This is what I'm getting at with it. Like the pacing is weird. It feels like they're gonna make half the story in 3 seasons, and then the rest of the story in 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's weird because, like I said,
it's weird.
But they're stretching out parts that shouldn't be and shortening parts that because the most entertaining part of season 3 was the Invincible War. That was dope. It was cool to see all the heroes and what they would do if Mark came at them. You know what I mean? Like that was like an interesting dichotomy to see what would happen if Mark decided to say fuck it. You know, like how would the heroes handle it? And we kind of got to see that like they could probably kind of be all right. You know, like if they like really all came together, you know, like specifically with our Mark and how like uneducated and not good at using his abilities he is. Like I could see them winning. And that was like cool to watch. But like again, it was just so short, bro.
Yeah. One of the things I really did like going along with that Mark learning how to use his powers is with this I did like with this fight with Angstrom Levy that he wasn't sent through any portals.
He was
very aware that it shows that he's at least learning that there's progress.
Yeah.
Slow, but there's progress.
I guess we're gonna see like when how many seasons are coming, you know, like
that's what I'm getting. That's my point I was getting at is that like to do this show well at this point, to finish it well, they have to have at least 6 seasons, maybe 7, which is a lot for an animated show like this. With like, again, like to have 20 to 25.
Just because they're already losing a lot of interesting characters. Like Rexplode is now dead.
Which happens in the comics, but again, like it doesn't feel so quick because it's halfway through the story. It's not. 25 episodes in because right now, even though we're in season 3, the reality is we have 25 episodes. 25 episodes or whatever. So like it doesn't feel like there's that much, but in the comics you've read 70 issues when he died.
Feels like
so that impact is way more. Like I don't know.
I will say I was both like hell yeah and like real sad about his death.
Just because of the way they do it.
Well, I could see it coming. You know, there was just so much. Like at the beginning of the episode, I think he's like, "I'm finally happy," and I was like, "Whoa, so thick!" I was like, "That was so thick, dude." He's definitely gonna die in this.
I hope they do a.
Like, be right back, Ray. Definitely not gonna go like die. I was like, "Fucked."
Yeah, and then he even tells him, like, tell Ray I'm sorry I couldn't help her finish moving in, but I'll be right behind you. Like they would have been like, no, you're dead.
Oh, it hurts me, dude.
But I really hope that they do. So there's 2 things that happen in the comics. Like timey-wimey shit happens, and we get
some
to
weird
see
time
Rex
jumps.
Explode. Well, like no, like past time.
Okay, yeah. So okay.
Where Mark gets like his current brain gets put into the body of his like
younger
self, and we get to like see Rex explode again in the comics.
Oh, right,
so I hope they do that.
That'd be cool.
Where like it's an episode where we get to see the younger versions of them again.
That'd be cool.
The other thing that they do in the comics, or that they did in the comics, is we were talking about the Adam Eve special they did
Mm-hmm,
between the
mm-hmm.
seasons. There was another tie-in special that was about Rexplode and his childhood.
Nice.
And that one is even more tragic
Yeah,
than
I bet.
Eve's. Like,
I bet.
they mention it how like his name's not even Rex.
Right,
Like
right.
that
They chose it for him when his parents sold him.
when his parents just gave him away. Yeah, like horribly tragic character. And I really do hope that, especially after this season, I hope the next thing they release is the Rex.
That'd be cool. Yeah, especially after his death, that would actually be
and because
smart.
they have the. That's exactly what they did in the comics. Is that he died and then they took a hiatus and that came out.
Nice.
And then they restarted the next arc.
Nice. That would be dope. Another thing that I hope that they bring back, because like they didn't even gratify or even like tease or anything at the end of this, was what's going on with Alan and Nolan. Why didn't they like say anything?
That was frustrating.
And like the last 4 episodes had like nothing to do with that at all.
Which was one of my favorite parts of the first
because
part of the season.
4 episodes, it was kind of like half to do with Mark, half to do with what was going on over there, and then like boom, nothing. So like that felt weird and also like disappointing.
And the only mention is that Conquest says that like they killed him before.
And I guess at the end, Metal Beast like awakens and is like more even.
Yeah, he's just insatiable. He wants to murder everything. I
love that. I absolutely love that.
He is one of my favorite characters. Like he's so one-dimensional as a character. It's the reality. He literally cares about one thing. But I love it. It's one of my favorite comic book
sometimes that's fine and that's okay in characters, and that's super cool. But okay, so last thing I'll say is I wanted to go back because I just read my notes here and I'm seeing that in that Powerplex fight, bruh. Again, Mark frustrates me so hard, bro. He literally is like, okay, I know how your powers work, bro. I'm not gonna fight you. Powerplex calls him out on like 2 fucking things, and Mark kicks him across like 3 buildings. Like, bruh, god damn it.
He's a slow learner, all right.
He's got so emotional. He's got like, I'm not fighting, bro. Powerplex is like, fuck you, dude. He's like, all right. I wrote it out. Mark is the opposite of Batman. He's the world's worst detective because, like, how could he have not put together that was a ruse there? That was like the dude's family. Like,
yeah.
When Mark gets there, dude is kneeling in front of the lady.
like talking gently, like, I'm so sorry. He's got super hearing. He's super hearing. You can hear him from a mile away. I don't. Actually, I'm glad you bring up the
baby looks exactly like the man.
I'm glad you bring up the detective thing. It seems like the next season, a big part of the arc is going to be Damien Darkblood and the demons.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but it seems cool, and I'm stoked to see it.
So they showed. I'm
expect not happen because like usually when I go into any Marvel movie, any Marvel content, like I have at least like like a realm of knowledge to where like I can base a lot of what's coming or like what's coming next or what's gonna happen on. Where like this, I have like nothing, like no basis of like anything except for what's being provided in the show, and it's a very interesting.
Yeah,
like I told Kyle right before we started recording this, I was like, dude, this is such an interesting show because like I've enjoyed it so much. Like I started it like maybe like a month ago, so I've just like been binging hard. But like I have mostly negative things to say about it, but I'm enjoying it so much. It's very interesting.
To me, that shows that you care about the content, even though you don't have like a really strong connection. It's good enough where you're invested. Exactly, you want it to be better. You want the better things.
I'm very much invested.
So in other ways. But so I don't know if you remember, there's a season 1 character, Damien Darkblood, the demon with the trench coat and the hat. He was literally the first couple episodes of the series.
Okay,
he has a huge arc coming up after the Invincible War.
Nice. Interesting.
Like a several issue arc. That's really cool. And it actually, like, the reason why it made me think of it because you brought up the world's greatest detective and like Mark not being the opposite of Batman. This is kind of like a Hellboy meets Batman character.
Okay.
And he's also one of my favorite characters in the comics.
Sick. Hell yeah. Like, I'm excited.
He's super dope. He's, a demon that like wants to be a detective, but he's kind of like almost like Etrigan, where he like speaks in riddles, but
Love that.
like
Love
is
that.
just like confusing
You
like
know, I love
people.
Etrigan. That's one of my favorite fucking characters. Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, which I didn't think they were gonna like even do, honestly, because of
And
the
they're
pacing
setting
of
up
the
so
show.
much. That's the kind of thing that I fear too. Because like when they set this up, to me, I was kind of like, oh, like there's another thing. Because they're setting up the whole like Viltrumite war with like Mark going with Alan and Nolan, right? Like that's supposed to happen.
Which is one of the last. That's what's interesting is that's like one of the last arcs to happen. Like that
Word.
happens, and then a few other things happen, and then it's the end of the comics.
Yeah.
Because like that's the big thing is Mark. Like I don't know if you remember they mentioned it in a couple episodes into this season where Nolan's talking about the Viltrumites' biggest secret,
Right. That there's
their
only like
biggest
50
secret, that there's only
pure
50
blooded of them.
full-blooded. Yeah. So like once that becomes more common knowledge, then they kind of bring the fight to them once everyone meets up. But I have a feeling they're not going to meet up till the end of season 4. That like Nolan,
Right.
Alan, Mark.
Because that's like a thing that they've set up that needs to be gratified, right? And then like the order, they set that up this
Mhm.
season. That like they again didn't really mention much after like Machine Head's takeover.
Mhm.
Um, they're setting up like the whole there's more Angstrom late Levy to come.
Yep.
Like like
Yeah.
he hasn't been finished off yet. Like there's just like all these things that are like yet to be
That's what I was saying
gratified.
about season 6 or 7. They're
Yeah,
gonna
like
need time to flesh these stories
the
out
whole
unless they
Mark
just
thing
like
going bad and not being fucking bad like that's a whole arc that like neat like the thing that's
well,
upsetting to me is that like I love Powerplex so much because he was some like a version of the show addressing it. Like they
mhm.
recognize that Mark is like going down the path of the villain. Like
Yeah.
again, like I wrote
And
down, like, if this isn't a show about Mark becoming the villain, because again, I don't know how it really ends. Like other than what you've told me, then like I don't know what's happening here. Like
yeah.
because they're
But
doing that so well. Like if that's the show, like you guys are doing
but
a
it
really good job.
and it feels like it's taking forever because that is something that happens over the arc of like I said, the arc of the entirety of the comics is him struggling and grappling with trying to be a good superhero, not just a superhero, but a good one, and not and like to fight his Viltrumite urges because he has almost like biological urges to conquer
Yeah,
and
to
to
kill.
destroy,
Right.
and like he has to like so it does feel. I agree that it feels like it's slow
It's
going
very
because
crazy.
yeah, because and like it's hard because there's nothing anyone can do to like force him to do it
Right.
because of
Right.
like the power levels of everyone around him.
Right. Right. Yeah,
I did like I did like where they show like I want to touch on one more thing with Adam Eve. They did like change her story. They talked about the mental blocks
mm-hmm.
for her not being able to manipulate sentient matter and stuff. What I find interesting is they don't do that in the comics when Conquest comes. Conquest like doesn't mortally wound her, but like hurts her enough, hurts her and Oliver enough, where like you had said, he kind of like Mark
Triggers
kind of
Mark's
snaps.
fucking
Yeah,
pod
he like
armor.
snaps and he
Uh,
fucking yeah, and he just like goes all out without holding back at all.
I
And
get it, it's so frustrating to me.
what
Like everyone on
what
the planet is going that hard. It takes Mark like an extra something to go
yeah,
that hard. Like he doesn't have the thing that every hero apparently has, where they're like, "Hey, this villain don't need to go as hard as I possibly can." It's like Elephant, to be like for an example. Don't need to
yeah,
punch this dude as possibly hard as I can because like not crazy.
it'll kill him.
Aliens are invading with multiversal marks, killing and destroying the planet. Okay, not holding
Go
back
hard.
anymore. Like Mark.
Yep. Well, and like the other thing is again going back to him being young, him having almost like a mental block after what he did, what he thought he did to Levy, how like how badly he hurt other people. He really doesn't want to do that, no matter who it is, even when it's like every single fan and every single person watching is like. He's the most evil Viltrumite. The Conquest is he's
And not
so
only
evil.
that, he does
He
it. The
works alone.
cognitive dissonance in Mark. He's literally like, I'm unwilling to kill. I'm willing to go as hard as I can, even against the most evil motherfucker possible. If anyone ever threatens my family again, I won't hesitate to kill you. Like,
So that was like to me. That's
how
like
about
the
you don't
turning.
hesitate to
That's one of
kill
the
when
turning points.
the planet's being invaded? How about that, Mark? Like, you could do that also,
Well, so in my mind, that could mean both things. If the
and you still
planet's
be
in
a good
danger and
guy.
his family's in danger, you know what I
You
mean?
know?
Like he now
To
has
me,
to write
there
the
was like, anyone like Cecil, like if anyone like pulls up,
yeah.
like don't say, get my wife's name out your goddamn mouth. is what he was saying there.
Pretty much, yeah. And I mean, like, it's really fucked up because,
It's a
like,
slippery slope, right?
in my
If it's
mind,
any other character,
he's not right. Obviously, he's not fully in the right, but I don't see him as fully being in the wrong because of the fact that a lot of times, like people like Cecil, government agencies can lose track of the humanity of why they're doing what they're doing.
that's
It's
true.
a
But then
double
like
edged
Mark's
sword.
losing his humanity too. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Whereas like
But
Mark's
like
losing
Mark's
it in the
losing
other way.
his humanity is so much more dangerous because like Cecil doesn't have humanity. Like right now,
Well, he doesn't have the yeah. Well,
currently
he doesn't have
right
the
now, like even before Cecil, like the dude who was like during the Adam Eve special, like I
yeah
forget his name, but the dude who was the leader before Cecil, fucked up man, dude,
yeah
horrible man,
as they need to
as they
be.
need to be. They don't have that. Like like if they lose their morality, that's how they're currently operating with no morality, and the world is like doing all right
Yeah,
because they have to
they don't
operate with
have
no morality.
and they don't have
Mark,
the
when he loses
power.
morality, right? Like they don't have totalitarian like ability. You know what I mean? Like they can
Yeah.
like do what they're doing to the world, but like when Mark loses morality,
Yeah, and
you know what I
I
mean? It's
love how they
done.
show like I love how they show like how Cecil is like freaking out like he's like the possibly the strongest being that we've ever seen ever in anything ever is beating the absolute shit out of our strongest superhero. We have to do something. Like
Yeah, which like again, like at the end, Cecil's doing an objectively wrong thing, right? He's keeping the
Mhm.
conquest. He's trying to like get his muscle tissue. He's trying to build Viltrumites, right? Well,
Yeah,
that's fucked
the
up,
animal that's with
right?
the
Like
Invincible
that's super fucked up. But like, what's a motherfucker to do when like Marx just showed up and just decimated the world? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's a man to do?
like they
And
have to
also
be
from
able to
Mark's
defend
perspective,
themselves.
I'm kind of upset now that I'm going through it in my head how he didn't gain that perspective from him watching himself dominate the world. Like, oh fuck, dude, this is what Cecil was talking about. One of me destroyed Paris, another one New York, another one Sydney, another one. Like, it took like
Each
if I
yeah, each
wanted to,
one of us.
holy shit, if I wanted to, I could crush the world. Like, wow.
And yeah,
Kind
the
of
fact that
scary.
the fact that he doesn't understand why Cecil is so fucking
Like
afraid of
even
him.
when watching
Like,
himself do it. Like,
it's one thing to watch your dad do it and be
dog,
like, I'm not him. But to watch 12
that's
different
you,
variants of yourself
motherfucker.
do it, well, to realize that
That's you
in
with a
most
mohawk. That's you with not showing your face.
also, I like that they used the names for them. I don't know if you
Mm,
noticed if you had
yeah,
the
I did.
subtitles
That's pretty
on.
cool. Yeah,
In the subtitles, it was like Mohawk or Mo Invincible Hawk, Mo
yeah,
Invincible Hawk.
yeah.
In the comics, what I love about that is in the comics, Mark names them all those ridiculous names to differentiate
Cheat.
them. He's,
Mo
he's like, you're
Invincible
no
Hawk.
goggles, you're Mo Invincible. Like he like names them those things, and then they like never actually say them, but they use them in the like clearly in the
And
script
Mark didn't
they
get to
reference them.
interact with them as much. Like again, I just hope that's
Yeah.
coming. I hope maybe like this was a
Also,
tease of the Invincible War, and maybe like a
no,
season 4 is
no,
going to
that
come back.
as far as the
Like
arc goes, that is the like Conquest
this
Coming
went so fast.
is the end of the Invincible War arc.
God damn,
Like Conquest Coming is the marking the end of that arc. Like
so
and
quick,
the
bro.
start of the next one. Yeah,
So quick.
which is why, like I was saying, like in the comics, it felt like there was a lot more because it was like we got to see Angstrom Levy building the team for
Right.
several issues leading up to the
Right.
Invincible War. We got to see panels in each issue, a couple panels of him like finding this one, finding that one, going to like finding specific
But I
parts.
also
Like
think that that's the
I
point
just
of
think
what you're as like a creator, right? When you're creating a show and you're taking like source material, and let's say like you said, there's 9 issues, but a lot of it is build up, right? Because like what you're saying is that as the reader,
no.
you get to read a lot of build up, right? You get to read
What I'm saying is the arc itself has like 7, 8, or 9 issues, but the buildup is 5 issues before, and the aftermath is 5 issues after.
after,
The whole
right?
arc is like almost 20 issues of
Right.
140.
I
It
I just
like
mean like
so
I think
having
when you're
one
creating a
episode.
show and you're using it like off of a like comic book like this, right? And you're like your goal is to like make it better, right? Like
Mhm.
not just do shot for shot, but like make it better. You're supposed to extend those cool moments,
Mhm.
right? Shorten the boring ones like that are being extended and lengthen those like big climax portions of arcs. You know, where like in this, it almost feels like the opposite. It feels like the drama and the interpersonal aspect of all of their lives are being extended. And then like the climax of each arc is being just ran through
Yeah,
quickly.
shortened to quick. Yeah, to get through it so that they can try and get through
It's
the
kind
whole
of weird.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much
I
I
don't know.
like it, to be honest. You guys,
It's very
tell us how
strange.
you feel about it. You know, like Invincible obviously is sweeping like everyone. It's from what my perspective is mostly positive, right?
Mhm.
I just have a lot of gripes. These like little things. It's almost like how I enjoy something. I just like break it apart,
Genuinely,
you know, and I just
genuinely,
like
you guys, if Lucas really loves content, this is
this
what
is
his brain
this is
does.
what
His
I
brain
do
is
to it.
like this is great, but this could be better, and this could
Yep,
be if
and I'll
this was
just
different,
shred it
this is
apart.
different.
Yep, that's kind of how
Which
I
is
do
also
it, you know.
which is also why we created the podcast, because we
Exactly.
want to try and get these ideas out and to try and like get you guys to tell us whether or not these are terrible or great
Takes,
additions
yeah.
or what we
So
think.
please tell us in the comments. Tell us what your favorite parts have been of the season, what your least favorite parts have been. Tell us if you agree with me that you're starting to hate Mark incrementally. Like I love this motherfucker from the first or second seasons, and now I'm like, Mark, you're letting me down, brother. So let me know if you agree with me. Let me know what you're excited about for season 4. Like if you know this demons that Kyle is talking about, tell us the parts from the comics that you're excited to see, because then I'll read that stuff and I'll be more excited for it. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, I've been personally waiting for this to come out for a while. I finally got Lucas to join in with me, so I'm glad we were able to actually flesh some stuff out. Again, like he said, please let us know how you feel about it. Let us know what you want to see going forward from us as well. We will try to get you everything that you want to hear us talk about. If you
yes,
just want to hear more about us, even
yeah,
let us know. Any of your thoughts and comments, just let us know.
please,
We
please,
would
please.
truly appreciate it.
And also,
We
do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. That's at Host4Hire Podcast. That's host with the number 4 Hire Podcast. Trying to hit that elusive 10K. It truly do be elusive, don't it?
Yeah, it
Because it is
does.
evading us, and we are trying to get there. So tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your husbands, because we're trying to talk to everybody out here.